Mood of the markets is certainly on edge in the wake of the London bombings, and we certainly do have security here. You can see the New York Police Department. And coming out through the next 2 hours of Morning Call, we're going to take you live to London, to those markets. We're going to talk to people in Brussels to find out the field there. Ron and Sana's live in Glen Eagles. We'll also be live at the New York Merc, and the bond market certainly has been having an effect in dealing with this situation. All that and much more coming up at the top of the hour on Morning Call.
All right, thank you very much. Up next, final thoughts on the markets this morning. You're watching Squawk Box on CNBC. I'm Mark Haynes. Tomorrow, Larry Kudlow, host of Kudlow and Company, will have live coverage of the employment report, reaction from Ben Bernanke, the newly appointed chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors. That's his first interview since starting the job. So you join us then. And by the way, I want to take just a moment to compliment all of the people in the control room who you never see, but who did a fantastic job pulling this program together today. Morning Call next with Liz, live from the big board.
Yes, Mark, I'm live at the New York Stock Exchange. Police crawling all over the area. Not that that's any different from the very heightened security that we've already had here. But in the wake of the London bombings, for the next 2 hours, we are going to explore everything that's going on with the financial markets. We're going to take you live to London, to Brussels, to Glen Eagles, Scotland, where Ron and Sana is live with the feel of what Tony Blair, the Prime Minister of England, had to say about this tragedy. And we will take you through all of the markets and let you know what's happening in the financial world. Morning Call starts right now.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Call. I'm Dylan Radigan at CNBC World Headquarters.
And I'm Liz Clayman, live outside the New York Stock Exchange in the Financial District in Manhattan, where Wall Street is on edge in the wake of the London bombings.
On a day when London's transportation system was rocked by a series of explosions that al-Qaeda has now taken credit for, global markets have been selling off. Wall Street trying to take it in stride. Half an hour into the trading day, here is where things stand. The Dow Jones Industrial Average opens low, getting lower now, down 0.7%. A bit volatile as the names come online in the open. S&P 500 declines. You see it down 0.6%. Obviously, the travel names, the airline names, the most sensitive to this, those that gain the most, are the defense-related names. There's the S&P. The NASDAQ, as we talked about, down 0.6%. Fixed income markets, the two-year note, the most sensitive to the bombing news. You see just how flat the yield curve is, however, with the 10-year yielding just over 4% and the 5-year at about 3.8%. The dollar's reaction this morning trades 111 on the yen, 119 against the euro. The pound, the most affected currency, trading 174. There was a big spike in gold earlier today. It has come back off of that gain, which was directly related to the news of the explosions in London. It is still higher by about 0.5%, and oil, which touched 62 earlier, now trades down 1%, down 68 cents a barrel, $60.60 per barrel. The concern that the bombings may have some slowing economic effect. That's what the oil traders will tell you. As Liz is at the exchange, what is the mood this morning, Liz?
Well, I'll tell you, Dylan, police crawling the area. They always are, but you get a sense that, as you see behind me, a lot of police vehicles. When I came, the fire department had about 4 big vehicles, and I'm told that they were conducting a test, and then they booked right out of here, possibly going to Grand Central Station to conduct yet another test. And I don't know if you can see the guys down there, but they've got M4 machine guns, and they're just protecting the area. This, of course, being the center of the financial district. And as we swing around to the front of the New York Stock Exchange, nobody's getting a vehicle in here unless it's been surrounded by police dogs. My car that was dropping me off, I had the canine unit go through it. We had to turn off our engine. We had to turn off our engine, then turn it on to make sure that we really did have a working battery in the car. So right now, as I pull traders aside, they're telling me that they expect the markets to continue to go down, and we will be watching that. But for now, I want to send it inside to the New York Stock Exchange to Bob Pisani. Bob, what's the feel inside with the traders on the floor?
The feel inside is that this is a day where they're open for business as usual. I don't want to make it sound more stoic than it is, but remember, these traders lived through 9/11 as well, and there is a certain sense of solidarity with those people over in London and the problems they've been going through. Certainly, not a single person that I talked to today didn't come in and say that we're open for business as usual, and that was the message of the stock exchange, and that's all they would say to me this morning. We are open here. So let's take a look at the markets here today. Open for business as usual. That's the mantra down here. Drop in stocks. it did happen, but it happened rather notably in the pre-open around 6 o'clock Eastern time as we started getting the full impact of what was going on here. You'd have to call this, as the markets are open, a somewhat muted reaction. Clearly, we are well off the lows prior to the open. Dylan showed you gold. There's the traditional vehicle that people go to in times of security. It did rally a bit, but then it dropped back rather notably, almost as if people had figured this out fairly quickly here. We do get the usual suspects somewhat on the weak side. Some of the travel stocks are a little weaker. Some of the transports are weaker. Some of the insurance stocks are weaker. We did get June retail sales in. Please note, we had pretty good numbers. There was good weather, and the consumer confidence certainly helped out. Take a look at some of the defense stocks. Those are another group that you think might do a little bit better. They are, but not dramatically so. L3, which is not just a defense stock, they also make detection equipment. That was the notable mover in the pre-open, and really the rest of the stocks here either mixed or somewhat to the downside. Hotel stocks here, well, all right, they're a little bit weak, but again, this is what I would call a muted reaction. Choice Hotels, Starwood, Hot, all down, but again, just fractionally, certainly not dramatically. Delta was one of the big transportation stocks that was weak in the pre-open. It was down 3% or so, but most of the other transportation stocks were in that field, really didn't even show up in the pre-open. As you can see, they are again fractionally to the downside. Two words here, or two phrases. One, open for business, and second, muted reaction. Let's go over to Leslie. She's standing by at the NASDAQ.
Thank you very much, Robert. We do have some selling pressure. It is not substantial. We are not seeing a market plunge here at the NASDAQ, but we are not coming off of our earlier lows. So the NASDAQ is down by about 13 points in the first couple of minutes of trade. Do keep in mind that we are in a high security zone here in at the NASDAQ right in Times Square, but that in terms of the data centers, this being an electronic trading platform, the data centers for the NASDAQ are very diffuse. So they're not right here as opposed to the New York Stock Exchange that has quite a significant amount of personnel right in that area. All right, in terms of top techs, Sun under pressure, down 2%, Dell off 33 cents, Microsoft down 0.5%, and Intel off 25 cents. Let's talk a little bit about or take a look at the Volatility Index, because this is where you often see it's commonly called the fear or the complacency index. So it snapped higher. It was up by about 13%, up 9% right now. I do want to bring to your attention a little bit more about the NASDAQ security situation. Two things. One, they had a message on the tower talking about their thoughts and prayers are with the victims, but they say that they always, as a building and as an operation, operate under the heightened security levels and stay in close contact with law enforcement. Let's whip through a couple of the security stocks that have been ramping higher, but I do want to bring to your attention, these are often speculative names. They move quickly, they ramp higher, and they can fall just as quickly, and they are not always the healthiest of companies. iPix Video Surveillance, a year or so ago, they received a going concern letter. ISON, yes, they're developing bomb detection, but they also have said in the past that there's no assurance that any of their products would reach commercial acceptance. And Mace, most of their business is in car washes. So we'll continue to watch that sector. Liz, right now the NASDAQ is down by 11 points. Back to you.
Leslie LaRoche live from the NASDAQ. Thanks for that report. We'll talk to you in the next half hour as well. We want to get now to the bond story, because bonds, as a traditional flight to quality, began roaring up and the yield started going down as soon as this bombing hit the airwaves. Let's get right to Rick Santelli. He's watching